here we are. What is today?
Today's Friday, May 27th.
May 27th. And what do you remember about your mom?
Well, I was talking to your dad about when she was sick
Yeah.
and how we had gone to Kikoski to church. That's where our church was.
Mm-hmm.
And we kids, on Christmas Eve, they'd say you say a piece. Well, it was
Right.
okay. And so we were at Grandpa's, and Dudley and I both got sick.
Uh-huh.
We had bad colds and we were sick.
Yeah.
And so we couldn't,
Say your piece.
yeah, we couldn't go to church.
Oh.
And then I was telling, in the living room, they had, it was a silver big stove
Uh-huh.
that you see like on Christmas cards with the eyes of glass that you could see the fire burning and stuff.
Yeah.
And behind it was a couch.
Uh-huh.
And that's where I slept while we were at Grandpa's.
Yeah.
And the night that my mother died, I was sleeping.
Oh.
She died like at
You were
1
sleeping
o'clock
there?
in the morning. Yes.
Huh.
And
Oh.
and I woke up because all her brothers and stuff, they were all in that living room.
Oh.
And it scared me. And then I said that I don't remember who, but somebody held me. They
Oh.
carried me.
Yeah.
And then Daddy came and he said that my mother was dead.
Wow.
Good.
Yeah.
And they didn't come and tell you at all, though, Uncle Dud, huh?
No,
No, we were up at Uncle Eddie's house,
Oh.
and then they told us, when she died.
Right.
Yeah.
Probably when you woke up the next day.
Brian, I can remember when she was laid out at Grandpa's house after, for the funeral. And Dud would go in and he would touch her.
Yes, I remember that.
Oh, gee.
And you do remember.
Yes.
And you'd come in the kitchen and you'd say, Mommy, did you touch Mama? No. I mean, it just would scare me so.
I touched her quite a few
Yes.
times.
He always run there and then he said to me, she's real hard and real cold.
Oh.
I was just gonna say that.
You remember saying that?
Yes.
Wow.
And you always called Mom Mommy?
Yeah, that's
That's
right.
right. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
How about Uncle Lyle? How did he?
Well, he was
Take
younger.
it.
He was 5.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
So you were 8 and Dad, you were like 7 or
Yeah.
6 and a half or
7
something?
and 5. We were.
Oh, okay.
Your dad had just had his birthday.
Oh, that's right, Dad.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah.
And when did you notice she was sick then?
Well,
Like
I think
3
she
days
caught it.
before?
She got
Or?
sick from Dud and I because
Yeah.
we were, and even as a young person, she would get real bad colds
Yeah.
and stuff. But this time it was pneumonia. that she
Yeah.
had.
So she was just in bed for a few days before, not feeling so hot, huh?
Well, she just got sicker every day.
Yeah.
It only lasted maybe 5-6 days, something
Oh,
like that.
wow.
What was the date of her death?
January 2nd.
Oh,
Okay, January 2nd. And
yeah.
so,
And her death certificate said that on December 28th, she had a premature delivery. So
Yeah.
she miscarried
Boy.
and
What
then
a
died
terrible-
on the 2nd.
I remember somebody kept walking into her room with a bedpan. That's
Oh.
all I know, but I remember seeing the bedpan in
oh,
the bedroom.
yeah.
And probably in those days, they had her laying all the time.
Mhm.
Oh, sure.
Probably the worst thing they could have done for her. If she
Yeah.
had been up moving around a little bit, maybe
Oh.
it would have
Mm-hmm.
kept fluids moving in her lungs.
Mhm.
And people used to think that she had a real high fever, but I think it said she didn't have it, and Linda was taking care of her really,
Mm.
I mean,
Well,
She
and Aunt
was the
Linda's the
only
one,
woman. Yeah.
Aunt Linda's the one on the death certificate that gave the information
yeah.
about her.
Oh.
Yeah.
So then all the uncles came, and then it was a bunch of commotion for the funeral, I suppose, huh? For a
Oh.
couple days.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I threw out the picture.
Yeah, well, that's where the funeral, you know, I mean, that's where she was laid out. And
Oh.
people came to visit
Oh,
at the
oh,
house.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember going out to the cemetery then and the whole bit?
I do remember it was January. It was,
Oh,
it was
right.
cold.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then Dad talks about eventually you went back to the house and the Christmas tree was all
Yeah.
dried up and the
That was a
needles.
sad looking Christmas tree. All the needles were gone.
Oh, see, I don't remember that, but
All the ornaments were hanging on
Yeah.
the tree, and the needles were all gone. It was a bare tree. Just
Charlie
the
Brown
ornaments.
tree.
And your little present was underneath.
It
Yeah.
was
Oh.
was just so sad when you walked in there and saw that. I remember that.
And
Yes,
that was
I
at Rolling
remember that.
Prairie, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And Oscar, remember Oscar that hired Ben? He was with Daddy and the three of us kids. It was the five of us that were
Mhm.
there.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how did your dad take it? I suppose he was real sad for
Oh,
a long,
He
long
cried a
time.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he married your school teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, what do you remember about your mom playing the piano and
Oh,
Yeah,
well, that was another thing. She played the piano every night for us.
really?
She put us to bed, or they put us to bed, whoever, and then she would play the piano. And after she died, then Linda tried to play the piano because we were used to that. And
Thanks, Jill.
and Linda tried, but she played so bad we told her to quit.
And then she made us take piano lessons.
Yeah.
What else? What was your mom's personality like?
See,
A typical mom, I suppose you could
I
say.
was gonna say when you're a little kid, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's your mom.
She, she was the boss, just like any mother.
Mm-hmm. Did she teach you things? Did she act like a teacher at all, or like my mom was a teacher, so she helped us draw and yeah. She was so probably so busy on the farm, huh?
What was the farm?
Oh, that's
No.
right, Rolling Prairie.
Yeah,
So she was a housewife
Yeah.
more. Yeah.
yeah.
Uh-huh. Was she a good cook?
See,
Yeah.
yeah, she was a good cook, but
Uh-huh.
I really don't remember. One thing I remember when Lyle had that mastoid.
That what?
Mastoid in his
in his
ear.
ear.
Yeah,
Do you remember that?
yeah.
Okay, she had told us kids, Doug and I, if you ever see, we call him Jimmy. If you ever
You
see
call
Jim-
Lyle Jimmy?
Mhm.
Really?
If you ever see a bunch behind his ear, tell Mama. You know?
Oh.
So we were eating supper, and in those days you had a pail of water with a dipper in it.
Yeah.
And I went to get a glass of water, and I looked and I said, Jimmy's got a bunch behind his ear, real
Oh.
smart. And my mother said to me, she said, you don't.
Oh, make fun of that?
Yeah, something, telling me that. it
Yeah.
wasn't. And I said, no, he has a bunch behind. So she looked,
Oh.
we finished eating, but the dishes stayed on the table, and we were having to took him to the doctor. They took Doug and I over to Aunt Linda's
Mhm.
the farm, and he had surgery the next morning.
Wow,
And I can remember then, Aunt Linda and Uncle Wood, they were going to go to the hospital, I think, to see him, but they stopped at the bar, and there was a guy, his name was Joe Littlebar,
Mm-hmm.
Bauer, Littlebar.
Lodabar, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Anyway, he was tending bar for Daddy, and then he said something about that we shouldn't go, that he was pretty low.
Oh.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Who
Yeah.
was low?
Lyle.
Oh.
Oh.
Why wouldn't you want to go though? Because maybe it would perk him up, or he just wasn't feeling good.
Who? He was in the hospital and
Uncle
had
Lyle.
surgery.
Yeah, but
Oh.
he said don't go to the hospital because
Yeah.
he's low.
Yeah, he meant that he
Mhm.
wasn't doing well.
Oh.
Hmm.
So
Wow.
anyway, and I can remember when Lyle came home, he had this big white bandage all around his head
Hmm.
with
Wow.
his ear and
I
stuff.
don't remember that.
You don't remember? And then he would tell us how they gave him ether and how he didn't want it. And I can remember we were trying to tell him if he would have kicked harder or something. I mean, stupid little kids, you know. And anyway, yeah.
So was back to your mom. Was she a singer? Did she sing?
No, she didn't. No.
Because
she
they
didn't.
were in those
But she
plays in
played-
Kikoski
yes, but
and.
she played the piano.
Oh, okay.
She always
Could
played
she
the
sing?
piano.
And
I don't think so.
really?
No, Daddy could sing.
Yeah, I was going to ask about your dad. So,
Yeah,
what was
he-
his personality like?
Well, was like
Typical
you.
dad.
He could be funny.
He was funny.
But he always called Lyle his little chickie.
Oh,
Cheeky?
yeah, I remember, didn't he?
Yes.
Cheeky?
His
Yeah.
little chick.
And knowing Lyle later on,
Ah.
I was far from a little cute chickie.
Was he always kind of grouchy?
Oh, he had a tendency to be a little grouchy, yes.
Do you think it's because your mom died, or was he like that
No, I don't-
before?
That was
No,
just,
he,
I think it came from Grandpa Rowley.
yeah, his
Really?
grandpa, it was
Yes.
known as a grouch.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
He was.
especially
He
like
looks gross.
little boys. I can remember you stepped on his foot one time. He was not too happy with it. And,
He was
but
ready
he
to
was
kill
always
me.
nice to me. And he always called me Rosa.
Oh,
You
uh-huh.
can do that there, Uncle Ben.
You like the girls, I guess.
Well,
and then,
He
and
only
then,
had the one daughter, so
yeah,
you know, probably was partial to them after 10 boys.
right. So after your mom died, then you lived where?
then we just stayed where we had been at Christmas.
In Rolling Prairie.
No, we
No.
stayed at
Oh,
Grandpa's.
right.
We never went back to
Yeah.
Rolling Prairie except
Never.
just
Get your
the
stuff.
last time, really.
Mm,
Yeah.
We saw the Christmas tree, and that was the last time we ever
Yeah.
were there.
wow.
Yeah.
And you all three lived together until you went to Aunt Linda's then?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For a
Until
couple
Daddy-
years, huh?
Until he got married again.
Yeah, uh-huh.
Well, but you lived with Florence, because on that census, you were still listed and you were 13.
Yeah.
But it was when you went to high school that you went by Aunt Linda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you went to school in Beaver Dam, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
My mom went to Mayville, and you and Lyle both went to Beaver Dam.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes, but Lyle graduated from the
Okay.
because
Did they
Daddy-
move then to the farm?
Yeah.
Okay.
But what was like life after your mom died, living together those years before your dad got married
Well,
again?
there were 9 of us at the table for every meal.
Yeah.
There was Grandpa, a hired man, a
Uh-huh.
hired girl,
Uh-huh.
Daddy, and the 3 of us kids.
Mhm.
Oh.
I don't know. I'm losing somebody.
Well, Aunt Linda and
And
Uncle
Uncle
Wood.
Wood.
Oh,
Yeah.
good job.
That-
It was a
yeah.
table full of people
Yeah.
all the time
Oh.
at mealtime.
At every meal.
Did they try to keep things upbeat or was it sad?
It was a typical family.
Yeah, I was gonna
Grandpa
say.
was the boss,
Oh.
and we all sat at the table and said prayers.
I was
He
going
said
to say.
his Kamar Sayam Science Sagach was German,
German.
and then we said
How
our
dare
prayer in
you so
English.
silent? God.
Were they stern with you because they were German or?
Grandpa was stern.
Yeah?
Yes, he was a very stern guy.
You thought so?
Yep.
Well, probably because they were boys and they were rascals.
Yeah.
I don't
You did.
remember him ever scolding or nothing.
I only remember him sitting at the table eating with us. He had this great big, almost like a bib, but it looked kind of like
yes,
a
I
tie.
did, and it was a tie.
Yes, it was a tie. And I remember him at Aunt Linda's table eating, and I remember him hopping in his car, and that car had a great big visor over
Front.
the window in the front, and I remember him
It's
driving to
Plymouth.
his farm on the south side of Mayville, and he read to me and to Tom, but he liked Tom better. He should have liked me better. But he'd read Black Sambo to us.
Ah,
But that's what I remember of Grandpa. And I remember when he was sick, Rosalie came, and it was around Easter, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was
Right
like Easter
after
Sunday or something.
That was, yeah.
And he was sick, and Rosalie came, and he was in his bedroom. And I remember I was in the bathroom, but she came in there, and they closed the bedroom door. And
Mm.
I know what they did, but I won't put that on your video.
Oh.
And then after that, I think they took him to the hospital.
Yeah.
And then
Oh.
after that, he died.
Hmm.
And
Well,
Uncle
he
Wood
was
was
only
already
in the hospital like
a few days.
Oh, wow.
or
Yeah.
A couple days, yeah.
Yeah.
But,
But-
that's, I don't remember much else about him.
No.
Uh-huh. But when back to when you were on, living together after your mom died, did the adults try to be nice to you and comfort you, or you just went along with life as normal?
I would say probably just normal. I mean,
Yeah.
the kids, really realize.
They didn't cuddle us nice.
No.
Right.
No.
That's,
Nowadays, you'd go to therapy.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they kind of like, well, that's life and move on.
Yeah.
That's kind of what.
Kind of like, well,
Hmm.
you
Did-
got to keep on living. And
Did your uncles come around? Your mom's brothers?
No.
And
No.
Really?
No, we would go to see Grandpa's a couple of times, and I can remember after Mama had died that at Grandpa's birthday every year they always had a big get together because there were
Oh.
these nine. She had these nine
Oh,
brothers.
9. Wow.
Yeah,
And
and one died. There were 2 Franks. I'll
Oh,
show you.
oh my God.
there were 9 living when she died.
Yes.
Wow. So did you have your friends over to the house? And
No.
Well,
No?
but you
No,
got to remember
no,
they were out on
no.
the farm, so
Yeah.
you didn't just go to
Right.
somebody's house.
Yeah.
No.
But you had,
But
well,
it was, I can't say that we were unhappy kids or anything. We were just kids.
Just normal. Yeah.
huh.
You missed your mom, I suppose, but it just kind
Yeah,
of.
but you never sat and cried about it or anything like that. I think,
And somehow we started school up at Golden Glow School.
Golden Glow, yeah.
And
Was that on the corner?
Yeah.
By Uncle Eddie's?
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to that thing.
Well, they
Did
tore
they
it down.
burn it down or what?
Yeah. Tore it down.
They put his
Well,
barn
there
there.
wasn't too much to it when you think of what that was.
Yeah.
I don't remember that it had a furnace down in the maybe it did have a basement. I don't know. Some of those schools didn't. They had the one in
No, I
Rolling
don't think-
Prairie didn't have a basement. I can remember the big black stove that was in
Yeah.
there.
I don't think there was a basement at Golden Glow.
Yeah, I doubt it.
So how did you feel when you went to live with Aunt Linda? Did you miss
I
your
don't-
brothers? Watch what you say for the camera.
I don't know. I just remember that she and Uncle Wood came up to Beaver Dam,
Uh-huh.
and they asked if I wanted to go to school in Bayville.
Oh.
And I guess to Daddy that was fine because he didn't have to worry how he was going to get me to Beaver Dam. 'Cause we
Oh.
were 7 miles from Beaver Dam.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so anyway, they
Oh.
asked if I would, and I said, yeah. I had gone to Mayville Public School, 6th grade.
Uh-huh.
And then I went to Beaver Dam by Daddy's for 7th and 8th grade.
Oh.
Had horrible teachers.
Oh.
The
Mrs. Hart?
Mrs. Hart, and she was there for 6 weeks, and then she was pregnant, and so her sister
6
came,
weeks.
Yes.
Mrs. Krause.
Yes.
Mrs. Krause had never been, I don't even know if she'd made high school. She would dump her in a box of rocks. Taught me nothing.
Oh.
I had to play the piano for the music in the morning, and I had to help like with the first graders and stuff. I was the only 8th grade student. And,
Oh.
I mean, I
Mom
learned
here,
nothing.
she taught, how many grades did you teach, Mom? 8 grades in a one-room schoolhouse?
Well, that's what this was.
Yeah,
But
sure.
I was the
We-
only 8th grader.
You'll have to see our videos sometime. Our family drove around to all your haunts back in those
Oh.
days, including your schoolhouse, which doesn't look so good these days. Right,
Oh,
Dad?
Oh, that red brick one?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll send you the link. It's on YouTube.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
is
Yeah,
it?
do
Yeah.
that.
But
So, did you have to take part in the farm work and all that at all when you were out there? Or?
When we were on the farm,
I know you did, Dad, but
yeah, he did.
the girls just stayed in the house and
Well, Rose
I
was
don't
know
pretty
about
little.
that.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
She was 13 years younger than Mom.
right. I meant more this generation, I guess. Or
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
But did Uncle Lyle do farm work too?
sure.
Okay. What were you doing out there? Like picking rocks and doing what? Weeding or?
He could do
Everything.
everything. Daddy couldn't change a light bulb because he couldn't get more than 2 feet off the ground. And I
Oh.
can remember Doug way on a big high ladder screwing in a bulb.
Why couldn't your dad get more than
Afraid
2
of
feet up?
heights.
He was afraid
Oh,
of
I didn't know that.
Well, that's where Anna gets it then. She goes to the window that's in the family room and she goes, big high. I scared.
Huh?
Oh, she's just terrible. I said, don't walk by it.
And you went parachute jumping, Dad?
So you're okay with it.
Well, I went too, but I'm still afraid of heights too.
He didn't care.
Wow.
Okay, so you went to Mayville High School and then you started at Beaver Dam
He graduated.
and you graduated there.
Yeah.
And Lyle followed you. How far
Third-
behind was Lyle than you?
He just went senior year in Bayville.
Right, but how far behind was Uncle Lyle than
Oh,
you? 2 years?
2 years.
2 years, yeah.
Yeah.
And then he was at Beaver Dam for a while.
Mhm.
And then when did they move to the farm?
Oh man,
Jeez.
35. I think maybe 37.
Yeah, your mom died in 35.
Oh, no, that was after that.
Well, where were you living when you went to 8th grade?
Up
Because
in
you,
Beaver Dam.
so that would have been like 39. Because you started high school in 40, you graduated in 44. So about in 39 maybe, and you were still in Beaver Dam when you were in 8th?
Go
What
ahead.
kind of hair?
She had
We're talking
dark
about
brown
Grandma
hair.
Rose.
It was natural curly, very curly hair she had.
Hmm.
Oh.
And Jilly Bean's got hair like hers.
Hmm.
Was Grandma's a little bit more wavy than mine? Maybe?
No, I don't know that it was curly though. She
And
had
she wore
pretty hair.
glasses.
And she wore glasses. I mean, they were
Real
like,
thick
I was
glasses.
going to say like
Oh,
Coke
really?
glasses, like the bottle of a
Oh.
Coke.
Yeah.
That's where I got my eyeballs from.
Oh, they were
Yeah.
really bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And her shoes.
And she had size 5 shoes.
Wow.
After she died, of course there were her shoes were
Her
up,
clothes and everything.
and I could play in her shoes. They fit me. I was 8.
Oh, wow.
I got big feet.
Maybe your dad had big feet.
No, he didn't have
Oh,
big feet either.
Where'd you get,
We don't know.
where
don't
are
know.
you from?
I don't know.
Check out your mom's family tree here. I don't
Yeah,
think.
I wonder what happened there.
Yeah, the mailman.
Yeah, oh, don't say that.
Oh, sorry. Touching on a nerve, I guess.
Oh,
Anything else that you can think about her, like physical features?
I've got a picture of her on my phone. I liked the way she looked. She was nice looking.
Yeah.
oh yeah.
And your mom too, Mom. I have, when she was that age. So how old was she when she died?
30.
Just 30.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I would think your teachers would have been nice to you after that.
Well, they were nice to us.
But I mean, especially nice.
No, I think it was so common
Really?
that it was kind of like, well, that's life.
Yikes.
You know, and
Yeah.
women lost children like crazy.
Yeah,
And
that's true.
when you see some of our ancestry, especially the Fellwalks,
Uh-huh.
that she married Christian Metke,
Uh-huh.
they had like 6 or 7 kids, and they
Mhm.
all died. And then he remarried, and then had our great great grandfather Martin Fellwalk.
Oh.
He was one of the only ones on that line with a different mother that lived. So there
Yeah.
were, you know, they might have had like 13 kids and had 2 that survived.
Wow. Right.
So, yeah.
You know,
So I think it was just kind of common.
I'm thinking of like the Spanish flu. Did your parents or any
No.
relatives ever talk about living
No.
through that?
No.
Yeah.
Now, my Aunt Laura, that was Uncle Eddie's first wife,
Mm-hmm.
she had a ruptured appendix and died. And that was something that,
Oh.
now, when I got out of high school, I worked at St. Joe's Hospital in Beaver Dam.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just there for like 3 months, I think. And the only patients that we had were people that died from ruptured appendix.
Oh, wow.
And half the people that came to have their appendix removed.
Oh, wow.
And now you don't hear that at all.
I was just gonna say that.
No.
You
Well,
don't. You never
Lyle
hear
had
that.
it. Lyle had it when he was
You hear of
older.
ruptured appendix and you
But
can
I think
die.
with the antibiotics and stuff,
Right.
it was, you know.
What about like tuberculosis? Was that a big thing
that
when you
was
were?
a big thing.
Yeah.
Friends of mine, Kim
Yeah.
Kolick, I remember she was in the SAD
Mhm.
for, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that was.
Now, did anyone, I mean, not your mom, she wasn't around, but did some of the women you remember talk about the first time they got to vote? And
No,
okay.
Aunt Linda never mentioned that either.
They
Really?
went to vote.
Yeah, because women got the right to vote in 1920, so
Oh,
I would think of, you know,
never even thought of that.
yeah.
well, that was a big thing. Last year was the 50th anniversary, no, the 100th
Couple years
anniversary
ago,
of the women's right to vote.
Yeah.
And like mom, your mom, she could have voted, and your mom would
They
have been
did.
able, and Aunt Linda, but maybe
No.
they didn't.
They
Your
never
mom did.
said anything about
Yeah.
it. And Aunt Linda
You know,
never
you
said
think
anything.
about the historical things and
Well, okay,
World War One, and you know, I mean,
Yeah.
did
The
people
other
talk
thing,
about all that
If
stuff?
you think Aunt Linda, they didn't have electricity. They,
Right.
They didn't have like a coal furnace, even, which she had later on. They didn't have cars. They didn't have telephones.
Wow,
I mean, there was so much stuff that they didn't have.
Yeah,
They had an outhouse.
sure.
You know, Mom talks about them
Well,
having,
so did we in Beaver Dam.
right, but you had an outhouse, and Mom would say, "Oh, it was really a good time when you had the peaches came in a little paper wrapping, and you used that wrapping." But
Sears
that was,
catalog is what you used for toilet paper.
but the Sears catalog wasn't good on the printed ones because it was too slippery.
Yes.
I was just gonna say that.
This is wonderful for my video. Thank you. And the corn cobs, right? The corn cobs.
Yes, used. I've experienced that many times. Out in a cornfield
I
somewhere,
didn't have any of that.
and it was fantastic.
That would kind of work, wouldn't it?
Oh, God.
What kind of stuff did you eat out there when you were young? I know you had large sandwiches, right?
I liked it. It was bacon
Yes, it was bacon lard, so it wasn't like Crisco
with
or.
salt. No, with salt and pepper on it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But you were pretty poor, huh?
I don't think we knew.
You didn't know it, yeah. And wasn't there some
Well,
story
I'll
where
tell you
your
the-
dad got a bunch of whipped cream once and you all ate whipped cream or oh, never mind. Maybe I'm
No. I remember him finding some change in his. I think it was like a raincoat or something. We lived in Kikoski, and he found some. Went right down to Butchie's and bought some ice cream.
Wow.
Daddy loved ice cream,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember him bringing that home. You know that we all had some ice cream.
Yeah, I remember that.
You do too.
Huh. And you had a butcher hogs and all that kind of stuff, I
Well,
suppose? And
No, they did it up
I
at the
could
farm.
even go deeper than that, but you don't want to hear about that. What we had to do
Oh,
with the pigs. and
castrating,
so on.
yes, I
Yeah.
know. Yikes.
Yeah.
So if civilization collapses, you'll be able to survive, right, Dad?
Absolutely.
See? How about
I
that?
mean, we always had a garden. Everybody always had a garden.
Uh-huh.
Grandpa had cows. We lived in Kikoski,
Uh-huh.
so we could have milk.
Uh-huh.
I mean, so
Mhm.
we weren't hungry.
Well, you
ever.
had
My mother could bake. My mother baked, had Linda baked bread. Hers was white,
Mm-hmm.
and because they made it with water,
Mm-hmm.
and the old stove range oven that they had, she'd put it in there, and her crust, the top crust, was always pitch black. And my mother made bread. Her bread was always a little bit like yellow because she made it with milk.
Oh.
And the stove we had, she had two of them. They were kerosene
Mm-hmm.
stoves,
Mm.
and she had two different ovens. One was about that big, I mean, like about 2 feet wide or whatever, and the other one was about half that big,
Mm-hmm.
all depending upon what you were baking or cooking or whatever.
Mm.
And I remember her bread always was just like kind of golden.
Wow.
She could bake bread better than Linda's. And
Wow. Well, Linda got better later.
Yeah.
Well, after she got an electric stove in town,
No, she used to bake it in her basement in that wood stove.
and it didn't get black.
Mm-mm.
Boy, it sure was always
I
black.
remember being in the basement with Aunt Linda and baking pies, and she made
Oh,
bread
yeah.
too, and she would